Today, we are creating custom tonal fabrics with 3 easy dye methods. And then I'll be turning those fabrics into 3 fun, beginner-friendly projects. Be sure to like and subscribe, and let's jump right in. If you already have fabric and would like to skip ahead to the sewing projects, use the timestamps below. Our first method is the simplest. We are creating tints by changing how much dye goes into our dye bath. This works especially well if you are using a single Rit color straight from the bottle. I start by filling my jar with very, very hot water. I'm using the violet shade for this project. I'm adding only the tiniest amount of dye, about a half a teaspoon. I mixed that all up and then I dipped in my test swatch, which is a small piece of fabric that I intend to dye. Here's where you can play a little bit. If the color is too light, you can add more dye, and if it's too dark, you can start over and decrease your amount. This is the lightest shade, and everything will build from here, so don't start too bold. When I was happy with the color, I dropped in my pieces, mixed them up a bit, and then I let them sit for about 10 minutes. After the 10 minutes were up, I fished them out with my stir sticks, rinsed them well, and then hung them up to dry. Again, don't pour out your dye. We are just building on it. This time, I added a tablespoon of dye. Again, mixing and testing a small swatch. Remember, once you go darker, you cannot reverse it, so ease in slowly. When the test swatch was just right, I dyed the next set the same way. Stir, soak, rinse, and dry. For the final darkest tint, I added dye until the bath was as saturated as it was going to get. Another test swatch, another soak, rinse, and dry. These tints are coming together into something pretty cool later in the video, so stick around. But what if you're mixing multiple colors? Measuring the exact ratios, darker and darker, can get tricky. So this method relies on timing instead. I'm looking to create a dark terracotta red, so I will be mixing the marigold, the dark brown, and the scarlet. I start with the marigold, adding about a tablespoon. After mixing that all up, I added a teaspoon of the scarlet. And I finished my custom color by adding a teaspoon of the brown. After mixing thoroughly, I tested the swatch in the bath for about 2 minutes. If you want to tweak your color at all, now is the moment. Once the base color was set, I got to tinting. For my lightest panels, I dipped them in the dye bath for maybe 15 seconds, just long enough to touch the color. Then I rinsed, hung, and dried. For the medium shade, I dyed the next pieces for about 3 minutes, stirring throughout. How long your pieces need will depend on how much water you have and your dye strength. Remember, fabric looks darker when wet, so trust the dry down. And for the darkest pieces, I left them in for a full 20 minutes, giving them a stir every few. After that point, they didn't shift much darker. I was left with the most gorgeous tonal trio that will be perfect for quilting into a kitchen staple. So what if you're looking to create a color gradient? There is an easy way. I wanted an olive green that shifts into a brown. To do this, I'm starting with the truly green and the marigold, and I will slowly incorporate the dark brown. In my hot water, I added a tablespoon of the marigold and then another tablespoon of the green. mixed that all up and tested it. It gave me the most beautiful light olive, so I added my fabric, let them sit for about 10 minutes, then rinse and dried. To shift the tone slightly, I added about a teaspoon of the brown. Not too much, just enough to deepen the green. I tested again, dyed the next batch for about 10 minutes, rinsed and dried. And for the final color, I added 2 tablespoons of the brown, mixing thoroughly. I tested and then dyed the last pieces. Another rinse and dry, and now I have a subtle olive to brown tonal progression. With all my fabrics prepped, we can move on to the fun part, stitching them into a few quick projects. We're starting with our violet toned fabrics, and we are going to be turning them into a star quilt bag. You will need 8 panels of your lightest shade, 8 panels of your darkest shade, and 16 panels of your medium shade. We are going to be starting with all our panels at 5 by 5 inches. You'll also need 2 lining pieces, measuring 14.5 by 14.5 inches, and finally 4 long strap pieces, measuring 26 inches by 2 inches. We're going to be using the 2 at a time method to create our triangles. Starting with one side of your bag, pull out 4 panels of your lightest shade and 4 panels of your medium shade. Layer those 4 pieces. To create your triangles, draw a line down the center of your piece using a ruler. We are going to sew on either side of this drawn line with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Next, cut on your drawn line, open and press your triangles. It's kind of like magic. Do this with your remaining pieces. You should have 8 triangles total. After all of your triangles are completed, we're going to trim all of our blocks down to size. The key to cutting the triangles is using the 45-degree angle on your ruler, lining it up with your seam, and then cutting to size. We want all of our panels to be 4 by 4 inches. Be sure to cut down the pieces that we didn't sew into triangles as well. So that would be 4 of your darkest shade and 4 of your middle shade. Once everything is cut down, lay out your pieces as shown, with the darker panels at the center, your triangles around the edges, and then your medium shade pieces at the corners. We will now sew everything together. I like to start by creating the rows and then sewing those rows together. Be sure to press your seams in between. After we finished one side, repeat all of these steps to create the matching panel for the other side of your bag. To create the strap, lay out your long piece and pin or clip the edges. Sew down each side with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, leaving the ends open. Next, turn your strap inside out and top stitch down the edges closely. Do this one more time with your second strap. Once all of your pieces are done, take your 2 quilt blocks, right sides together, and sew around the edges at a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Be sure to leave your top edge open. Do the same with your lining piece, but leave a small gap at the bottom, about 3 inches. This is how we will turn the whole bag inside out to finish it. Next, we are going to box the corners. Take your ruler out and measure 2 by 2 inches on the bottom of the 2 corners of your bag and lining, and cut those pieces out. To close up these corners, fold them together and sew across. Repeat these steps for all of your boxed corners. I like to sew on my straps quickly before assembling so that they don't move. I match them up with my quilt block squares and stitch them down, using a very small seam allowance, less than 1/4 inch. This ensures that those stitches will be hidden when we sew our bag together. Next, we will assemble the bag. With your lining inside out and your quilt blocks right side out, place your outer piece inside the lining. I apologize if that's confusing, but the key here is right sides together with the lining out. Be sure to tuck in your straps so that they don't get sewn. Pin or clip around the top edge of your bag, matching up your seams. Sew around the whole top edge of your bag with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. After sewing, find that opening at the bottom of your lining and pull the entire bag through it. After it's right sides out, match up the seams on that opening and sew it shut, either using an invisible stitch or quickly stitch it on your machine. Put the lining inside the bag and you will see it come to life. I like to do a quick top stitch around the top edge to finish it off. Next, with our red toned fabrics, we will be making a quick hot pad. Start by cutting 8 of your middle shade pieces into 3 inch by 3 inch squares. You will also need 2 of your darkest shade at the same size for the center. We will be using the 4 at a time method to create our triangles, so your remaining panels of the darkest shade and the lightest shade should be 8 inches by 8 inches. To make your triangles 4 at a time, start by layering your darkest piece and your lightest piece. If you're using a pattern fabric, make sure that right sides are together. We are then going to stitch around the entire shape with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. This is where the magic happens. Using a ruler, make 2 cuts from corner to corner. Unfold to create your 4 triangles. Do this for the other 2 panels, so we have 8 triangles total. Be sure to press your seams after sewing. Next, we are going to trim our triangles to 3 inches by 3 inches. The key is to line your ruler's 45-degree angle mark with the triangle seam. This will make them perfect. After they're all trimmed, lay out your pieces in this pattern in a 3x3 grid, with the dark panels in the center, your triangles at the corners, and then the remaining pieces around the edges. Next, sew all of your pieces together. Start by creating rows and then sewing those rows together, pressing in between. Do both panels so you have a front and a back. When your blocks are finished, cut down a piece of heat-resistant batting to the same size as your block. Place your blocks right sides together and place the batting on top. Clip or pin, and then sew around your block at a 1/4 inch seam allowance, leaving a small gap to turn inside out. I like to trim my edges a bit, especially in the corners, so that when I turn it inside out, it's not too bulky. Turn the whole piece, making sure that you're turning from the gap between the two block pieces rather than the gap between the batting and the block. You'll know if you did this wrong, as one of the sides of your Hotpad will be the batting. And finally, top stitch around, making sure to tuck your edges where you had your open gap. I also added stitching a 1/4 inch around each of my squares just to finish it, as I thought it added a nice touch. And finally, with our green Tonal fabrics, we will be creating a star quilt throw pillow. To create this, we will need 8 light green panels, 8 olive green panels, and 16 dark green panels. All of our panels are 5 by 5 inches. To start, we are going to create our half square triangles. I'm pulling out 8 of the darkest panels, as they will be used for the corner pieces. Set those aside and we'll trim them later. Let's work on one side of our pillow first. Pull out 4 pieces of each color. We are going to match up 2 of each color combination. 2 light green and olive green, 2 light green and dark green, 2 olive green and dark green. If you're using existing fabric, make sure that you're stacking your panels right sides together. To create our half square triangles, we will again be using the 2 at a time method. Start by drawing a line with your ruler connecting one corner of your square to the other. We are going to be sewing a 1/4 inch seam allowance on either side of your drawn line. After sewing, cut on your drawn line to separate your triangles. Open and press. Do this for your remaining triangles. Once all your triangles are complete, we are going to trim down all of our blocks. Line up your 45-degree inch line on your ruler on your fold and trim each block to 4 by 4 inches. Be sure to do the same with your reserved dark green panels that we didn't turn into triangles. Once all of your blocks are trimmed, we will see the final design coming together. Lay out your blocks in the pattern shown. We are going to sew all of our blocks together with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Be sure to put right sides together and press between sewing. I sewed my rows first and then sewed all my rows together. Once one side of your pillow is complete, repeat the steps for the other side. To complete your pillow, put right sides together and sew around your whole pillow with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Be sure to leave a small opening for turning inside out and stuffing. Turn inside out and then stuff. I close my opening by hand with an invisible stitch. I hope you enjoyed these quick and easy projects and are inspired to try your own tonal dye projects. Thanks for watching!